Hey, what up, guys? In this one, we're headed to the venerable Pasatiempo, designed by Alistair McKenzie, and boy, it was quite the experience. I'll give a long-winded answer and discussion about the course itself at the end of the video. That being said, let's head out to the course and see how I did.
All right, hole number one is a very long par 4, 440 yards from the middle tees. That being said, I still have a long distance for my second shot into the green. I take out the 2 hybrid here, hit it pretty decent. Unfortunately, I end up out of the trap, and so I just have to chip on to try to get up and down for my par. So here's a chip attempt. Can't show you where it landed, but it being like 12 feet from the hole. Here's the putt attempt. And yeah, I just end up missing it here. So starting off with a bogey, but hey, a long par 4, that's 440 yards. I'll take it. All right, this next shot is pretty straightforward off the tee box. Where this hole gets a little tough is around the green. As you can see in this next shot, it is very protected by all these bunkers. And just like I was alluding, I end up in the bunker on the right-hand side. So that being said, the bunkers were a little harder on the course sand-wise compared to the practice green. So I wasn't really prepared for that. So I just end up blading this one out. And this next chip, I hit it almost on the flag. Don't purposely do this, but it starts rolling back towards the hole. And so I have a manageable putt for my bogey. So here's the bogey attempt. End up draining that. So starting off with a bogey start here at Pasatiempo. All right, next up is a very long uphill par 3, 200 yards. I take the 4 hybrid out, and luckily it hits the front side and rolls up to this position where you see me now. Here is the birdie putt attempt, respecting the heck out of the speeds of these greens. Barely tap it, and I end up just coasting that one up there to have an easy par. All right, next one. Pretty straightforward tee shot here. Just have to worry about the right-hand side with bunkers. Safely aboard on the left-hand side of the fairway. This next shot I thought goes a little long, but ends up being pretty good. So I have a relatively straightforward putt for my birdie. And I honestly got to look for my playing partner here, and I end up making this one. So back to 1 over after this hole. All right, next up is a pretty interesting par 3 here. End up pulling this one to the left-hand side. However, this green slopes from the back to the front. It's in this middle tee here, so pretty straightforward chip. Just don't want it to lose it too far to the right. As you can see, it keeps rolling out, and I just need it to sit. So I have a manageable putt for my par here. And yeah, luckily it just ended up getting up and down from a little testy position. Coming up next is a par 5, hole number 6. Just safely put this one out to the right-hand side, and it kicks back to the middle of the fairway. Just laid this up here. This is the hole with the famous Alistair McKenzie house on it on the left-hand side. For my third shot, just took a gap wedge, just something that was super easy to put into the center of the green. Land it safely aboard, and here is my first putt. Hit this one way too hard, and it goes way past the hole. And so now I have a testy one just to come back for my par. And yeah, unfortunately, it just lips out, and I just tap that in for my bogey. So unfortunate 3-putt bogey. Coming up next is a short par 4. Probably not a driver hole, but I was hitting driver pretty well. So I thought, why not? And unfortunately, I get punished for my second shot. There's some trees hanging over to the right-hand side, so I thought maybe I'm just going to punch a 5-iron. I kept it low, but it kicked over the backside of this left-hand bunker and got lost in the fescue. So I took 2-stroke penalty, and I just chipped on. And unfortunately, I'm behind the stroke count now, and I'm putting for my double bogey right here. And yeah, I can't convert that. So end up getting triple bogey here with a lost ball. Such a bummer here. Should have took an easier club off the tee. All right, coming up next is another par 3. Pasatiempo is in fact a par 70 course. That being said, I lose this one to the left-hand side. Luckily, it doesn't go into these sand traps, which I have not been faring too well out of. And I just chip this one on and, do a decent job here of getting it close enough to give myself a chance at par. And so here is the par attempt. As you can see, respecting the greens quite a lot there. Barely hit it and just tap that in for my bogey. Unfortunate not to get the up and down, but I'll take it. And the bad breaks continue here on this par 5. I hit my ball on the left-hand side, and I thought it was safe, but I think it rolled out into either the street or the tall grass where I couldn't find it. So my second shot, I just take a drop here, and I hit my 2 hybrid up to a position where I can get close to the green and try to chip one close. Here's my chip attempt, and it left myself, a decent length putt here. And here's my attempt just to get the bogey, but yeah, as you can see, it starts rolling back, and I just tap that in for my double bogey. All right, so the end of the 9 was kind of rough, so I wanted to get things back on track here. It's okay to hit the ball a little right here, but you're going to have a tree in your way for your second shot. So I hit a beautiful 4 hybrid under this tree, and if it went maybe 2 or 3 yards to the right, I would have stayed out of this sand trap. And unfortunately, like I said, the bunker play for me, not great. And I hit it in the other fairway, and I chip it back into this fescue. So I'm line 5 here, hitting my 5th shot. And yeah, unfortunately, I just chipped this straight into the bunker in front of me. And so great, I have another bunker to attend with, and I'm very scared here. But luckily, hit a good bunker shot, really close. And so now I have a short one for my triple bogey. So here's a triple bogey attempt, and yeah, I end up missing that. End up picking a quad bogey on a straightforward hole. All right, trying to bounce back again from another bad score. Just take out the mini driver and just cozy this on up here to hit my second shot over this ravine. And yeah, I end up hitting a really good shot here. Ends up being maybe 10 feet, short of the green. And it ends up rolling like so far back, it was insane. So I'm just trying to get it onto the green, not being cute at all here. It ends up being pretty close. And so I actually get a par here on this pretty tough par 4. All right, coming up next is a little longer par 4, but I still take out mini driver because I want to hit the fairway and it's downhill. So this next shot, just pretty straightforward, 9-iron into the green. Ends up being a little bit short and still in the, I guess, fringe area or rough area. So I have this little chip just to get on the green. And yeah, I just end up birdieing the hole. So felt pretty good to get a birdie after some pretty tough holes. All right, next up is a pretty straightforward par 5. It goes uphill first and it goes a little bit downhill after you crest in the middle. So this is my next shot. I just lay it up here to a distance that I prefer, which is around a little over 100 yards. So here's my third shot into the green. And like I said, 100 yards is pretty much a money number. Ends up getting a pretty good kick off of the hill on the green. And so I have this one just for my birdie. Yeah, I end up scorching the corner there, or scorching the edge there, end up tapping that in for my par. This course is having its way with me, but I'm enjoying it because this is the type of golf that really makes you think to score. That being said, this par 4, you have to hit over this huge like grass galley, and pretty much I end up doing that, so staying clear of all that. But unfortunately, end up being a little bit short with my approach to the green. So yeah, I'm on the fringe and I'm still putting, but wish I was just hitting on the green a little closer. Unfortunately, it doesn't break at all, and I hit it way too hard, and I can't clean up this really short one for the par. So I end up getting a bogey here after a great drive. All right, so if you didn't know by now, Pasatiempo protects itself from low scores by these greens. So I end up hitting in a nice spot, but ends up rolling all the way down to this position. And so I have a long one just to get close enough for my 2-putt par. That being said, I am pretty far from my third shot. And yeah, basically can't convert the par here, end up getting a bogey. So yeah, just not doing the best with the flat stick, and these tough greens doesn't help. And speaking of tough greens, this is probably the most diabolical green on this course. I hit a great drive, and so I'm set up really nice for my next shot. And yeah, I hit in this middle tier, as you can see the shot tracer, but guess what? This rolls all the way back down and I have to chip up onto the green. So I didn't capture all the footage here. I thought I chipped up to a good enough spot. Luckily, it rolls down only to the second tier. And so I have a putt here for what would be my par, but guess what? Didn't capture all of it. I ended up 4-putting this stinking thing. So this green was crazy from top to bottom. Maybe there was like 10-foot like drop of elevation. End up 4-putting for a triple. All right, at this point, I know the score is not going to be too pretty on the card, so I take a pretty big swing for my drive. Ends up being in a great position on this left to right sloping fairway. And this one, I end up hitting far more left than I anticipated, but it ends up working out. And so I have this one for my birdie. And at this point, I'm just thinking I want to get a par because of the last couple blow-up holes in terms of the putting. So I end up just picking up this par, thankfully. And so we're heading on to the famous 18th. All right, this hole is a little devilish in terms of the pin position. End up going long and left, knowing that my second shot now is going to be impossible to keep on the green. I'd flop it here, hit it as good as I can, and yet to no avail. It rolls all the way down to the bottom off of the green, so I'm chipping once more. So as you're going to see the ball coming from off your screen onto the green, I have yet a 12 footer for my bogey, and luckily I make it. And so I'm pretty happy with that long putt to finish the day.
All right, as you can see, didn't play my best, barely broke bogey golf here at Pasatiempo. But that being said, overall the course was really interesting. I think the course design was epic in terms of every single shot. You really had to take your time and think. If you kind of just didn't think about your shots there, you're gonna get punished. Or if you didn't know the course well enough, you can definitely get hurt on some of those holes, which I did. But that being said, it is lauded as the Augusta of the West. And pretty much, I did feel like it was that, but it comes at a price and it's very difficult to walk. In terms of the price, I even paid it for a cheaper rate because the friend that was in my group was part of another Alistair course in the area and he's a member of it. So I got it at like $220. That being said, the price on golf now I think is around $320. And for that money, I can play Spyglass for cheaper with my Dukes Club membership. And I think I'd spring more towards a Spyglass round rather than a round at Pasatiempo. So yeah, lots to talk about. It did take almost 5 hours to play. And, we ended up walking the course and it was a pretty tough walk. I wasn't really prepared for that. But that being said, I hope you guys enjoy this one. Special place this Pasatiempo is. Keep chasing, and I'll see you in the next one.